So, viewers, this is going to be a workshop session. As you can see, well, the plan is to get his bike in here, and we're going to remove the restrictor kit on a CBF 500.
Oh, it's changing the engine.
No, not yet. As you can see, we've got gloves there, we've got tools, toolbox, more tools, strimmers, and all the engines are changed in my Sinus Apache, which is that pig right there. More on that in another video. Anyway, see you in a minute. Right, here she be. Mr. Kelly's CBF 500 on the centre stand. Yeah, just shut it down, yeah. So we're locked away from the predators. So pull the knob string, there we go. Just shut it down halfway, 'cause it's quite hot, so we want some cheap man air conditioning. No, it won't. Right, so we've got to get the restrictors out. I don't have a fucking clue what we're doing, but we have got the trusty old Haynes manual, which should help, hopefully. So, first things first, I reckon, seat off, tank up, get to the carburettors, get right in there.
Using twin carb in line
fucking in there.
Right.
Look at my sick toolbox with all my... Oh, I might do a review thing. Yeah, my sick toolbox with all my fresh spanners. Get right in there.
Health is finest.
Shut up. Man's a BMW technician. Right, before we do anything, let's fill the viewers in. We've took the seat off, we've took the pillion seat off, we've took the normal seat off, which is held on by two 5mm Allen key bolts at the back there. As you can see, if I zoom in, there and there.
It's only taken us 2 hours.
And no, let's fill you in. So, restricted, this bike is restricted to 47 brake horsepower, which is the legal A2 limit. And that gives you what, 115?
About 130, 140.
Shut up. 115 miles an hour was whacked, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Whacked out. So that's with 47 horsepower on a CBF 500. That's about as fast as you're going to get. 115. They're rated up to 125. Be restricted. Full power in it. Something like that.
Hopefully.
And there's not much power in it. I mean, you've got 47 horsepower restricted and 56 full power. So I mean, you're only looking at a small decrease in power with the restrictor. But we want max. So seat off. Next thing, hopefully, to get the tank up.
Gonna be a cunt.
Yeah, which
Do you want to get the battery off first, or?
Where's the battery?
That's the yellow thing, the big yellow thing.
Right, okay. Well, you're going to be doing most of the work, so I'm the camera guy now. No, you don't have to put the battery back in again. Right, so we've got the battery out. Where's the battery? Where'd you put it?
Under the bike.
Right, the battery's under the bike. Battery's out. Yeah, so... Where's my wiring?
Because Joe was too busy.
So the bike shop actually said, what, hours labour to do this. I know we're like fucking about and you're on your phone now and I'm just like being a dick, but hours labour. Right, we've got the tank off now and it was fairly straightforward. You've got one overflow hose here, which you've got to take off on the back. You've got a fuel sender switch or pair of wires for the fuel sender. A...
That just go out the side?
Probably, yeah. Probably a breather of some sort. Whatever that is, that's another... No, that was the fuel line, and then you've got the vacuum hose going into the intake manifold for this vacuum operated tap, which is, if I can turn it over, no, I'm not going to bother damaging the tank, but it's just a tap under their vacuum operated tank. And obviously there was a long bolt, 10mm nut on the end, 10mm bolt side going into here, easy to remove, and then the tank simply slides back off of these little rubber
grommets.
Yeah, what do you want to call them? Rubber bong things. Much like, exactly like getting the tank off, actually, like a Sinus Apache. Isn't it? It just slides off right there. Right.
Now this is going to be a cunt.
Yeah, this is going to be the bitch, getting the airbox out of the way, I think. Well, we'll have to work it out in a minute. We'll have to look in the Haynes manual to make things more efficient. And that ABS pump has been working overtime.
Not on the back though.
Right, update session. We're removing the carbs now, and the series of vacuum hoses has cut all their Further down there's a couple, you'll see it if you're ever doing this job. It's just got to remove all the hoses going to the airbox. Then you simply just pull the airbox back and it simply just pops out of the front of the carburettor. Once that's come out, then you slacken the intake rubber boots going to the cylinder head, and as you can probably see there's a small gap there. Now the intake rubber has come away from the cylinder head. So what you're pretty much trying to do is just, there's a 10mm holding the airbox on this side. As you can see, there's probably, I can't see like the camera, there's one that belongs in there. We've removed the air filter, we've removed the little air filter thingy that goes around the side. That's better. Top man, Kieran. And yeah, so you just pretty much make the airbox movable. Once that's movable, you pretty much remove or take the carburetors back with it all. Yeah, then the bike's just like shat itself everywhere. We've just pulled it like a drainage hose off, and it's just like fucking ET's jizz has just spilled all over the bike. But air filter's out.
Leaking more than Mr. Wormy's armpit.
Oh, I remember him in school, mate. Fuck. Right, so what we've done, as I explained before, we've got the intake rubber away from the cylinder head, and we've established that the actual restrictor is at the carb side, and I thought it was actually at the cylinder head side, but it's at the carb side, and you can actually feel it, but you can't pick it out. So what we're going to have to do is remove the intake rubber completely, and how I'm doing that is, there's just as naturally the Jubilee clip's going to be facing the wrong way to make life difficult, but if you get a long screwdriver, you can go around this side and unscrew that, and it believe that, yeah, the one on the right hand side it's actually behaving, so you can actually get that quite easily. So hopefully if I get these intake rubbers off, we'll be able to remove the, so I'm not trying to get the carbs all the way out, that's the least thing I want to do, because there's way too many, yeah, it's magnetic, that light.
Fucking sick. Look at that.
And yeah, so hopefully get the intake rubber off without removing the carbs completely, because that means disconnecting all the linkages, a lot more lines, and we just don't have to do that unfortunately. So going to get the rubber out of the way, hopefully we can get the restrictor out. Right, success. We've removed the intake boot. As you can see, it's away from the cylinder head and away from the carburetor side, and this is the washer you pay how much for?
60 quid?
60 quid for that tiny piece of metal. What is it from? Yeah, there's two of them, because we need to do the other side. But what is it, Kickstart Engineering?
Fucking scammy cunts.
Yeah, Kickstart Engineering, for a tiny piece of metal they supply it just to go in the intake boot, just a little washer really.
It's just a certificate you're paying for, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just paying for the paperwork, and that is obviously just restricting airflow, therefore restricting power. So we're going to pick that little fucker out of there.
Fucking mad wheelies, cunt.
And we'll be back to the full 57 brake horsepower that CBF 500 produces, and it should be. Get that front wheel down.
Right,
And then we've got the other side to do.
How do you get it out?
Hopefully just pick it out.
How do you pick that cunt out?
I don't know, it's going to take some brute force and ignorance. Right, that is the washer removed out of the intake rubber. And as you can see, all it does is just literally sit in there. There's a tiny little recess that it sits in there. It's actually quite tight. And yeah, so you just get a screwdriver, jemmy it out of there, push it out. And
Oh, fuck off, you cunt.
yeah, so get it out, whack it back in without the washer. And don't tell anyone that you're still on a restricted licence.
Yes, officer, I've got the documents right here.
Yeah. Right, the intake rubber is back on the cylinder head side without restrictor, and it's imperative. There's a little bit under here that I'm going to show you, but there's a little cutout in the actual intake rubber at the bottom there, and it must sit on the cylinder head side. It's like a little cutout, and it goes in, so it's only one way. And then obviously on the carb side it does have a little arrow pointing upwards, so there's not really, you can't really get it mixed up. It only goes on one way, and it's pretty obvious. And obviously naturally we changed the Jubilee around the other way, make it a lot more easier to tighten everything up. So we've just got the other side to do, get the carbs back on, and then that is it. That was to be honest, I thought it'd be much more involved than that, because the gentleman did say in the bike shop, didn't he? But it was like, what did he say? He was, oh, it was very, very involved.
Oh, take the battery off, the airbox off, suck your mum.
Yeah, so let's crack on. Lovely, top man. Right, with this one, with this side, we literally just got the intake rubber off the carburetor side, the side where the restrictor washer is, and so we didn't have to completely remove the boot. We've done that because obviously you've got the massive hose coming from the thermostat housing, big radiator hose, and we did not want to have to take that all the way off. It just makes things much easier. So really, the best tool to use is just a pair of bent nose pliers, long nose pliers, and you can get in there and just pick it out. Once it's out, you literally just slip it all back on, and I tend to use a bit of silicone spray. Bloody good stuff for rubber to get it always onto metal. It just slips straight on lovely. So yeah, so that's both restrictors out. Let's get the rubbers back on, everything's screwed up tight, hoses back on, and then we're pretty much laughing, and then we're going to go and max this bitch up Hanningfield Reservoir. Actually no, we should actually see if it makes any difference.
I like to abide by the law, and I hope that any law enforcement watching this video knows that.
Then again, it's either the restrictor that's slowing it down, or it's the fact that it's done 65,000 miles. Right, that's cool. We've got the carbs bolted up to the inlet rubbers, both sides, both clips are tight. We've got the airbox pushed back onto the, might need to go on a bit more, but we've got the airbox pretty much back onto the inlet of the carburettor, both sides. That's probably the hardest bit, to actually push it onto that, because it's a rubber and it's like recessed, so it has to slot in properly. And yeah, so we've got the airbox back on, so we just need to literally get all these hoses back on. I think you've got one there, got one down there, you've got the one there that's spewing out all that jizz. So one there. Yeah, so not too much, and obviously the 10mm that's holding the actual airbox back onto that, so hopefully we're pretty much there. Right, so we've just put all the hoses are back on, the airbox to the carburettor, just putting the air filter on, just simply held in by 3 screws. There, there. Obviously there's a certain way the air filter goes in, and you can't go wrong. It's the whole side facing outwards. That's all bolted up. Next is for the tank to go back on. You've got these little rubber grommets that I was talking about. Best to squirt a bit of silicone on there so it simply just slides straight on. And then you've got, what have we got around the back here? We have a drainage hose by the looks of it, like 2 little hoses at the back, as you can see there on the video. Ooh. Don't know what that takes for. And obviously there's the sender.
Some shit can't repair.
With it, 2 little wires go on there. And then
right,
you've got your vacuum tap. By the looks of it, it's operated by vacuum from the intake manifold. So let's wang the tank on and bolt up all the other bullshit, and then hoonage. Right, so the tank's on, the fuel lines are on. Knob rot there is just putting the battery back in, and we're going to test it and hopefully make sure it runs before we box all the seat and that back up. And it hasn't actually taken that long. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we've been dicking about. If we was probably put your head down and get on to doing it, and squat up on the manual a little bit better, then I suppose it would easily be an hour's job.
Mr. Jones would be proud. No, Mr. Roddy would be proud.
It was not like the time when we had to whip out 3 Sinus Apache engines. That one was starting to we started stripping it down. We need to actually take this engine apart and see what went wrong.
Do like and slice it.
Yeah, it needs to be like an insane coffee night that we need to do. And then we've got, that was your engine in your Pulse Adrenaline, wasn't it? Which blew up. That was started burning so much oil, it was just like almost like my Speedfight 2, like a bloody 2-stroke in the end. That engine there, shut up. That engine there totally shit itself. I was coming back from London and I suspect it's crankshaft failure. Something was just like, I took the oil filter cover off and it was just metal everywhere, just like shavings everywhere. So I don't actually know what went wrong with that. This one I bought off eBay. When that one blew up, I had to buy another engine quick on eBay. Bought that, and then it was burning so much oil the actual seller fucked me right over. The engine there was the 3rd engine. Right, battery's in temporarily. Keys on.
I don't want to turn it on because like that split second of having the headlights on might drain that little bit of battery we need.
That'll be right.
Ready?
Fire her up, hopefully. Oh, sexual chocolate. In the garage door. And give it a a good rev. Let's see if it picks up. It was crazy because it's cold. Sounds right to me. Sounding good?
Yeah.
Cool, let's box the rest up. Let's wrap it up. So, gents, that is it. Removing the restrictor washers on a CBF 500.
Smell my hand.
It's actually relative. No, it's probably fucking stinks of sweat like mine did. So that's it. It's all boxed up. The tools you actually need is just obviously a 3/8 ratchet extension, a 5mm Allen socket. Oh fuck off. Long nose pliers with a little bend in it makes things easy. A flat blade screwdriver, a Phillips screwdriver, a ratchet Phillips screwdriver makes things much easier. Obviously a torch so you can see what you're doing. A 10mm socket and 10mm spanner. And you wouldn't believe it, like £60 just for them two tiny little washers. Granted, you do get the restriction certificate to verify to say you've actually had it restricted, but that's really all you're paying for. It's just for paperwork. But really, it's a bit overpriced still. So we're going to go out for a ride now, see if it's any different, and hopefully it is, and hopefully it'll be alright. Yeah, front wheel down.
Wham, bam, 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 bam.
Rossi, get that front wheel down. I do what I want. And yeah, so I'm not going to film the ride because it's pitch black out there now. It's what time? 11:30 at night. So obviously it'll be night if it's pitch black. So cool beans, let's go Z's.
Oh, my hands are like
What's your final words?
Don't wear white gloves or them guns.
Right, stops you getting dermatitis.
I'd rather have dermatitis, to be honest.
Oh, cheers. Alright, see you later gents. See you in the next video.